Children who experience emotional abuse might display some anxiety, they might be withdrawn, they might have trouble making friends, they might experience problems with low self-esteem, or in fact they could act out and have behavioral problems.
As a pediatrician taking care of the full age spectrum of pediatric patients from infancy through late teenage years, unfortunately I've seen and have been involved with, on one end of the spectrum, a shaken baby syndrome and teenage rape.
These contrasts are stark and unsettling to us. Nevertheless, during the last decade, the reported incidence of abuse of all kinds has increased, due in large part to increased awareness. It's hard for us to understand why someone would want to harm a child who is experiencing life and preparing for their future. As caring adults, we all have the responsibility of preventing child abuse and neglect. As a volunteer, you make a difference in the lives of the youth who participate in Extension's 4-H programs nationwide.
We got about a 14-mile paddle. We're going to paddle about 5 miles to the Bridgeport Bridge.
4-H youth development gives young people a chance to learn new things and skills, gain self-confidence, and contribute to their communities. Youth gain interpersonal skills, first-hand knowledge of leadership and the democratic process, and try out new experiences, ideas, and activities. 4-H youth also gain important practical living skills, respect for others, self-expression, decision-making abilities, and responsibility. Over 500,000 volunteers across the country guide these youth learning experiences in neighborhood clubs, schools, and other Extension youth programs. We expect youth and adults to work together in secure, protected situations. It's a pledge we make to them. For over 100 years, a cornerstone of the 4-H program has been its commitment to assuring a safe, non-threatening environment in which youth can learn and grow. Unfortunately, there is another dynamic that affects 4-H youth and volunteers: child abuse in its many forms. Over the last decade, the total number of abused and neglected children in our country has risen by 2/3. The total number of children seriously injured and endangered quadrupled during this time. Nationally, child abuse costs taxpayers $258 million each day and $94 billion a year. Statistics are but numbers on a screen or in a report. They don't reveal the pain and suffering, humiliation and fright. Abuse can happen anywhere to anyone, in cities, in the country, across social, economic, and gender lines. Abuse often scars a child for life, causing health problems, learning and language disorders, low self-esteem, and poor relationships with adults and peers.
Many children do act out and have behavioral problems. Again, some children are withdrawn, may in fact be depressed, and for children who are physically abused may have physical symptoms of the abuse, such as bruises or other injuries that you could actually see.
Let's turn our attention now to what constitutes abuse and the warning signs that aid in recognizing if abuse is occurring. Physical injury is defined as injury inflicted on a child by other than accidental means. Examples include lacerations, fractured bones, burns, internal injuries, severe or frequent bruising, or great bodily harm. Here are the warning signs of physical abuse. The youth has unexplained burns, bruises, broken bones, or black eyes, or fading bruises. He or she seems frightened of parents or adults, does not want to go home.
Obviously, many active children have a series of minor injuries, and it's not necessarily the specific injury, but rather a combination of injuries with a history that doesn't fit. It's a history that is contradictory. It's a history that is different from one caregiver to another.
Sexual abuse includes sexual intercourse, sexual contact, sexual exploitation, and permitting, allowing, or encouraging a child to engage in prostitution. These are the warning signs. Difficulty walking or sitting. Demonstrates bizarre, sophisticated, or unusual sexual knowledge. Sudden refusal to change clothes or participate in physical activity. Pregnancy. Tries to avoid certain adults or situations. Emotional abuse. Harm to a child's psychological or intellectual functioning, which is exhibited by severe anxiety, depression, or aggression. These are indications of emotional abuse. Extreme shifts in behavior, such as overly compliant, demanding, passive, or aggressive. Inappropriate adult behavior, parenting other children, or infantile behavior, headbanging or rocking. Delayed physical or emotional development. Has attempted suicide.
Some children internalize the abuse and blame themselves for whatever has happened. Some children may become withdrawn or anxious or depressed. Other children may have behavioral problems, may have trouble getting along with others, may not accept any type of authority.
Neglect. The inability, failure, or refusal for reasons other than poverty to provide necessary care, food, clothing, medical or dental care, so as to seriously endanger physical health. These warning signs tell you the child has been neglected. The youth is consistently dirty or has severe body odor, lacks sufficient clothing for the weather, lacks needed medical, dental, or vision care, is consistently hungry or steals money or food. A word of caution: none of these signs proves that child abuse has occurred. However, when they occur repeatedly or in combination, you need to take a closer look and to consider that abuse may be happening, which leads us to who should report suspected cases of abuse. As a 4-H volunteer leader, you're encouraged to report an occurrence of abuse if you have good reason to believe that it happened. While you're not legally required to report, you may be the first to observe the warning signs of a problem or abuse, and your reporting could be an important step to helping the child.
When dealing with volunteers working with children, it's important that I think they realize that it's not the job of the volunteer to investigate or prove that child abuse has occurred. They need to recognize the responsibility of being aware of what child abuse may be and to know how they should and to who they should report the suspicion of child abuse.
To report suspected abuse, contact your county social services department, sheriff, or city police. Explain what happened or is happening to the child and be as specific as possible. In addition, include the name of the child, address and phone number, and name of the parents or guardian. It's important to take immediate action if you suspect child abuse.
People shouldn't be afraid to report abuse because the purpose of reporting is not, in fact, to get folks in trouble, but rather to get them the help that they need. Parents often require some assistance in providing the care and nurturing and safety that they do for their children, and by reporting, you're providing them an opportunity sometimes to get the services that they so desperately require.
As we noted earlier, increased public awareness has resulted in the rise in reported cases of child abuse. By viewing this program, reading the handouts, and talking with Extension staff and other volunteers, you've increased your awareness. You've heard from professionals who've seen firsthand the results of abuse and how it affects its victims. We've covered the different kinds of abuse, how to recognize them, and what to do if you have good reason to suspect an occurrence. And by now, you realize it's our obligation to provide the safest possible surroundings that assure the well-being of 4-H youth. It has been shown that the cost of prevention is far less than the cost of treatment and placement of an abused child. In 4-H, as in all youth-serving organizations, the welfare of children is of the greatest importance. Who and what they become is due in large part to the way we nurture the human potential in all of them.
The best thing that we can do for kids is to listen and to support them and to believe them when they tell us their stories, to report quickly so we can respond quickly, and that way we can reduce the trauma that they experience as a result of the abuse.
As they learn and develop new skills, they do so in a caring, safe environment. That's the 4-H pledge to the youth and to the parents who put their faith and trust in us.